Kings need to grab a first rounder in this draft?
I mean, need is a loaded word. Kings need to do a lot of things, but we're talking about how this draft is going to feature second rounders for the Kings, or a second rounder, but other teams know the Kings don't have a first round pick, and the Kings really need to, look, just getting past all the anger I have at the franchise right now, just speaking pragmatically. I saw, Vivek put up a tweet yesterday. And it was just like a motivational thing. It was very benign. It was, it was something like never give up, don't ever give up, any of that. And it was deleted within, I don't know if it was because I
were people crushing him for
just,
it. And he can't post anything.
It wasn't like most people were crushing him. It wasn't like I went down the entire list of comments until I just got tired, and 100% of them were brutal.
And that's a motivational thing. Hey, everybody, have a great day.
Yes.
You know what?
Yeah.
Shouldn't have made this trade, or blah blah blah.
It was don't ever give up. And about, I would say 50% of the comments underneath were some form of, we wish you'd give up owning the Kings.
Wow.
And then it went on from there. And look, I get it. I get the vitriol. And
such a fun place, social media.
But I had a conversation with some folk over the weekend. And they're not, they don't do this for a living, and they're not season ticket holders, and they're not hardcore every day, oh my God, Kings fans. But, the question was asked, and I know we've broached this before, but is this the lowest the fan base has been? I'm talking about on the court stuff. And because I started thinking, I'm like, well, hold on a second. The Kings were in the play-in last year. And on top of them being in the play-in last year, they were in the playoffs the year before, or 2 years ago, playing again last year. They've had 3 consecutive postseason berths, if you want to call it that. And by the way, they won 40 games.
Yeah.
There were so many years where they were in the 20s. They win 32. They sometimes in the high teens. But it just seems more toxic this summer.
Yeah, and I think there's probably a deeper dive into what social media means to the world now. Yeah. Like the equivalent to our version of social media 20 years ago would be phone calls.
Yes.
Would be newspaper comments section.
Right. That's right.
A few chat boards started to surface, chat rooms and forums. So now more and more people have a voice. Now you're anonymous on the keyboard. Again, you can have this voice. And that's not even the point. Sure. It's just there's a lot of people doing it, and it kind of snowballs. And if someone says, hey, this is the worst team I've ever seen. No, this, it's just people can keep going on that. So it's really hard to measure. But in the day and age of social media, it feels like it's pretty down.
I came to the conclusion that this is the worst it's ever been. Forget about social media, and I agree with you. But here's why. Because on the surface, it's like, there's no way this is the worst. Here's what makes it the worst, I think. Number one, cumulative disappointment. Okay, it may not be fair, but this isn't just about this year. This is about the last 10, 20, 40 years. So let's start with a foundation. I'm just making my own little drawing, everybody. Foundation of cumulative disappointment. We'll call that CD, not Carmichael. And then on top of that, you have, they're not good. They're not bad, by the
in that
pure
weird spot.
They're not good. They're in that, But then I think at the second from the top is that they were good.
Yeah, I think they had a peak season for the newer fans, and for the fans from 20 years ago, it was like, this is kind of what it was like. We're back here again.
That's right. People were gearing up
pleased
for
a lot of people.
That's right.
And that run was incredibly short.
If you and I were sitting on one of these little blue old Arco Arena chairs, and every April we just kind of leaned forward and fell on the floor, it's annoying, and maybe we skin a knee or I don't know, whatever the hell, get a little Charlie horse, but we're fine. I think part of it is now we go up to the roof and we slide forward off of that. We hit the driveway. The higher you are, the further there is to fall emotionally. So I think that is part of the reason. So we have a foundation of continuous cumulative disappointment. The next level, and you could switch these around, is that they're not good. The next level is that they were good. The next level after that is, you could call it either hopelessness or purgatory.
That's what I was going to say, somewhere either in the not good or I feel like this one, my feeling is there is less hope.
Yes.
I think there's always hope, but there's less of it, where I think the hope might have fallen in line, like, hey, Fox, Sabonis, Murray, this core, you had coach of the year, GM. I feel like it's lined up,
right? But
a lot of that has been broken up.
That's right.
And so if you feel like you're in the not good, not bad range, cumulative disappointment, had a peak 2 years ago and it's going kind of the other way, where is the hope?
That's the problem, is that you said there is always hope. Because and
I mean, just in a blanket statement, there's always hope. There's always doom. There's always that.
Right.
But
it's tough.
And then you also, I think another sidebar for fans too seems to be, all right, we watched the Warriors do their thing for a while. LeBron, get it. These are generate. But now it's like, oh, no, here's Houston and here's OKC. And I think the Spurs are coming along here.
And that's where we get to, I think, the final level or top level of the Kings failure pyramid, or should I say the fan base devastation pyramid. And that would be, you could call it either shame or embarrassment, because on top of all of that foundational failure underneath us, you had Luka Doncic in the finals last year. You have Tyrese Halliburton getting crowned as one of the next faces of the NBA this year. And in the back of everybody's head, whether they want to admit it or not, very much on the radar are Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox. And each are a little bit different. We never had Luka. Even though we passed on him, we never had him. We never saw him in a Kings uniform. We had Tyrese Halliburton. For some people, that's what makes it hurt the most. And then Tyrese's exit from the Kings, a lot different from Fox's exit from the Kings.
Yeah.
So real quick, let's go to Ashley. Ashley, good morning. Welcome in.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. But as far as what you were talking about, as far as like, is this the lowest Kings fans have been?
Mm-hmm.
In a way, I think it is. And part of the reason for me is we had so much hope, so much expectations after that Beam Team season. And to only have that 1 year of true success, because I don't think that a lot of the Kings fans look at going to the play-in as success. I think that if one of the 2 years, this year or last, we could have made the playoffs, I think that we'd be doing a bit better as a fan base. But I think that a lot of us are fearing that we're going to go back to the basement like we were, based off of losing guys like Halliburton and where he is, now losing Fox, and having these rumblings of potentially losing either Sabonis or DeRozan or something like that,
Well, and thank you, Ashley. We got a break. The funny thing is, no disrespect to Sabonis, who I love, but when you talk about losing Halliburton, losing Fox, what my fear is that this team will double down on their dumb mistakes from the past, and they'll say, well, we did this with Halliburton, we did this with Fox, we probably shouldn't do this with Sabonis and DeRozan, when in fact that's probably who you should have done it with. Don't let that prevent you from, they're not the same.
Right.
I love Sabonis, but Sabonis and DeRozan to a far lesser extent than some. That is not Fox and Halliburton. You're talking about two totally different caliber of player, youth. Anyways, we'll take a break. Tom Morton, head pro, Hagen Oaks, is out at Oakmont right now. He's going to join us ahead of Zach Polo, who is from Rockland, competing in the U.S. Open, which tees off Thursday. He's going to give us an update on Oakmont, what Zach's going through. We'll do that.